Yeah, they did a whole bunch through the COVID era meetings.
Some of my very favorite ones that were the things of like all the countries getting together and.
Yeah, those are my favorite. I love the. Have you seen the one where all the countries play written?
Oh,
That is so funny.
love that one.
Well, I think I'm going to May. Of course you will.
Hey, zone out.
Welcome, welcome. Wednesday noon. Glad you're here. Where is everybody else? Sick and afflicted. Early start on Thanksgiving. Are we still going to do seminar on Wednesday before Thanksgiving?
No.
Friday instruction is Tuesdays.
Well, Wednesday is.
Saturday seminar.
Yep.
Yes, Saturday, basically.
Isn't there school on Wednesday?
No.
I thought there
Monday,
was.
Tuesday.
You'll be here by yourself.
Oh, well, then we were, who even brought that up in our class then? Yes, we did. Okay, everybody, anyway. Okay, welcome, welcome. Holt, we're glad you're here. And I don't know where everybody else is. This is weird. None of the faculty are here. Oh, wait, we have Dr. Davies coming. We welcome all of you that are coming remotely. Nathan and Haley and Jesse and Lexi and Amelia, Caleb. Anybody else? Keep scrolling. I want to see how many more are on our. Oh my goodness, that's where everybody is on Zoom. Well, welcome all of you Zoomers. Boomers, no. We welcome our guest today as well. And who are our two moderators today? Hey, you know the drill. In an hour or so, have the questions sent to me, and then I can post them for our graded discussion. Is there anybody that's here for the first time? Introductions.
Oh, my
I
name
think I'm
is,
astonishing.
yes. I'll give you an astonishing introduction. So my name is Alex Snow. I'm a sophomore here at BYU. I'm studying computer science with an emphasis in animation.
Whoa,
And
this is the university to be for animation.
honestly, yes. I'm very intrigued by the program. I haven't applied to the program yet, but I'm preparing my portfolio, taking some classes. And this department called out to me when I found out about it just a few days ago.
The vibes, yes,
The vibes and feels.
biorhythms there.
Yes.
Yeah, and yes, you are welcome, but you have to be last in line. We're glad you're here. Actually, we're really glad. And in case you haven't looked at it, we also have a design minor.
Yes, I have.
And I'm the person you'll talk to about that. So we'd love to have you. We have 6 or 7 undergraduates have already signed up for $664, $599, $498 to join with our grad students winter semester. So that's also something you can do is, work on a project, a real world project with our grad students. Yeah. Okay, we offer a word of prayer, please.
Dear kind and gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you so very much for this opportunity to be here together today and to gather together and learn more about opportunities that are open to us. And we ask you to please bless us that our hearts and minds will be open to what we are taught today, and that we will be inspired to use what we learn through our studies and our future endeavors, and the citizens and ambassadors.
Amen. Thank you. We are fortunate today to have Dr. Richard McClendon, is that pronounced correctly? Associate Director of Institutional Research. Big deal. You'll all want his autograph. And we are lucky that he has come down off of the ivory tower to be with us today. So thank you, Richard. And then Abby, we are grateful you're here to make an announcement. She is a recruiter. She's from the US military, and she'll Anyway, Abby, take a couple minutes and then we'll turn the time over to Dr. McClendon. So
Okay, I'll try and make it quick. I'm Abby Ross. I'm a junior in the industrial design
will
program.
you stand closer to this microphone? Or, oh,
Sure, I have to move some stuff, but
okay. Just give a
Is that
wink
good?
or a smile.
okay. So today I'm presenting on a study abroad opportunity. And so first I just want to ask the question, raise your hands if you've been at the DMV and thought, oh my goodness, this could be run so much more efficiently. Like a lot of people, right? I've done that, I've had that experience so many times. So this study abroad is focused on service design, which is an up and coming design sector that's really focusing on solving that issue, solving the customer experience. So some logistics. This is going to be a 2-week-long study abroad. It's after winter semester, so April 30th to May 14th. The first week is entirely in Copenhagen, Denmark, and then the second week is split between Barcelona and London. Some things to note on this slide: you have to apply to that by December 2nd, so it is coming up, and you do so on the Kennedy Center website. You will have to register for 2 classes. One class is next semester, the second half of the semester. So it's just a 1 credit like preparatory course for the study abroad. And then you also have to take a 3 credit class spring semester, but it's not actually a class, that's just the study abroad. And you have to pay for those credits, but your tuition for those credits goes towards your study abroad. You don't really have to pay for those credits. Okay, so for the sake of time, I won't go over some of these things, but if you're interested in a little bit more about what service design is, this has some videos about it. It's really just like an integration between business, technology, and design. And a lot of people that graduate from master's programs in service design will go on to work at companies like Delta, who have like a lot of graphic design and they're really selling a service. They're not just selling plane tickets, you know. So that first week that we're in Copenhagen, we're going to be doing a workshop with the University of Aalborg and their master's program in service design. And so it's basically a synthesized workshop as to what the service design process is. The first day they give us a brief on what we're going to be designing, and then every day they implement the different steps that they take when designing a service. And at the end, you'll do some presentations. All right, so in addition to going to the workshop, we'll still be able to see a ton of design sites, a lot of sightseeing. These are just some cool things we'll see in Copenhagen. This is the Free City, which is a hippie town with no laws. So go there. This is the Design Museum in Copenhagen. Barcelona, we'll be going to see La Sagrada Familia. Casa Museum, we'll go see a flamenco show.
Everybody's already signed up.
There's definitely a lot of fun things to do. We're also going to visit the Barcelona Pavilion by Mies van der Rohe. And London sites, we'll see St. Paul's Cathedral, go to the Victoria and Albert Museum, Leighton House, just like a lot of design sites. William Morris Gallery, we'll see a Shakespeare play in the Globe Theater and be in that nice little pit there. And then this theater is like a 2-minute walk from our hotel, and they're showing like Hamilton, Phantom of the Opera. Maybe one night if you want to do that, go for it. We're also, while we're in London and Barcelona, we're going to have the opportunity to visit lots of colleges out there and meet with people and about service design, but also depending on who wants to come to the study abroad, we can also contact people about animation. We have some animators coming. And etc. So there's lots of grad programs that these schools do. Probably visit this service design company as well, learn a little bit more about them. Okay, so now on to the money. So this service design study abroad will cost $2,650 to $3,000, but this does not include your flight to Copenhagen and your flight from London back home. And we didn't include that because we want it so that you can like extend your trip if you want to explore Europe, because it's way cheaper to fly around Europe once you're there. I think our flight from Barcelona to London is like $20. So maybe at the end of the study abroad, you're like, oh, I just want to go somewhere else in Europe. Like, why not? But it does include our flights from Copenhagen to Barcelona and from Barcelona to London, all public transportation fees, entrance fees. And as I mentioned before, the tuition for that 3 credit class. So it doesn't include those 2 flights, personal expenses, or food. And there are a few ways to make it cheaper. Obviously, regular BYU tuition scholarships, Pell Grants, etc. The second one, I'm not sure how this works with grad schools, but you can contact the head of your department for experiential funds. For industrial design, I was able to contact the head of my department, and he's giving $800 to each student that wants to go, but every department's going to be different. You can also recruit friends to go, because it's cheaper when there are more people. The professor's cost gets distributed amongst the students that attend. So when there's more people, it's cheaper for you. Lastly, be creative when buying your flights to and from. If you want the cheapest way to do it, I did a lot of research into it, and the cheapest way is actually buying a round trip ticket to London and then a flight from London to Copenhagen, as opposed to 2 one-way flights. So let's say we get 20 people to go and it costs $26.50. Then you add on top of that your 2 flights, which are roughly $1,100, and then subtract any experiential funds. In my case, it'd be $800. Then it ends up being like a $3,000 study abroad.
So again, what are the weeks? It's 2 weeks.
It's 2 weeks and it's right after winter semester. So
It's a packed 2 weeks.
very much. The first week is heavily focused on that workshop. The second week is more exploring design sites in Barcelona and London.
And tell everybody who the professor is you're working for.
Yeah, the professor that's going is Professor Brian Howell. He is an industrial design professor. He's worked at Dell for a number of years, has started his own design businesses.
He'll be presenting to us on December 7th.
Yeah, so I won't give too much away, but he's done a lot. And
Yeah, so he has an amazing history. I don't think the two of us are related, even though we have the same last name. So he said he's from,
Howell's at the university, actually. There's a couple other ones that I've built. But lastly, I just want to go over some benefits, why you should go on this. I highlighted, or I have in red text, some that I think are really important. For one, this is a study abroad opportunity that's not a month long and it's a lot cheaper. If you didn't get an opportunity to go on a study abroad in your undergraduate, this is a time to just like, why not try it out? You'll also have the ability to connect with graduate students and professors outside of the US. You can expand your network with a variety of people. It's also an intriguing study abroad for individuals who have multiple interests. I love design, but I'm also passionate about business, and service design is like a really good combination of a lot of fields. And you'll also be able to enhance your skills through experience and doing as opposed to viewing. A lot of study abroad, you're going to see a bunch of sites, but this is a study abroad that has a workshop where you're actually going to be able to develop your skills. And lastly, skills learned in the workshop will influence your current design discipline. So yeah, and good food, chance to explore the world.
friends. How many people have committed already?
So far we have 5, but I know like 7 other people that want to go.
Your goal is to try to get 20.
We want to get 20.
So how do they contact you? Because you're,
I have these flyers. I'll just leave it on this paper. I don't know if I have enough or on this table. It has a QR code to this presentation if you want to show your spouse or whatever. There's also my email and my professor's email if you want to ask us any questions. And also, if you just go to the Kennedy Center website, you can search up Service Design Study Abroad and you'll get the flyer. And on that flyer is also the same QR code that goes to this presentation.
now I know why Dr. Hal wanted you to come instead of him. Thank you. Okay, Dr. McClendon, it's all yours. Thanks, Abby. Appreciate you. Hopefully a few of our students will join. And I would seriously work with Dr. Rich if you are interested in some experiential grant money. Dr. Rich is loaded.
Well, thanks so much, Scott. Appreciate it. So how many of you have been in Qualtrics before?
Yeah, that's a really important question. You can't graduate from this program without it.
Using Qualtrics.
So what levels? Most of you have worked with Qualtrics. Would you say we're kind of medium as far as, or beginners? Where you at? How many say you're beginners on Qualtrics? 5 or 6. How many more medium you've been in it? How many really know quite a bit about it?
You're gonna teach this.
Okay, so today, Scott has just asked me to kind of bring maybe some more of an advanced, maybe 3 or 4 extra things that I can talk you through and how you might use it. The first thing I want to try to do is just take you from the point of creating questions, and we'll put together a survey, and then I'm going to send that survey to you, and then you'll take it. But I want to kind of create a small survey and add some kind of questions, maybe put a graphic in on one of the questions. I don't know if you've ever done that before, but just kind of create more of advanced type of questions. We'll put that together. I'll show you how to fill that out, how to use a listserv, that we can use Qualtrics to do that. And then after that, we'll maybe do 2, 3 other things that hopefully be advanced for us. I'm gonna sit down, if that's okay, and then just kind of work it through this, you can be able to see what we're doing, so hopefully that'll be helpful. All right, so I'm gonna share the screen. Okay, so I just started off just putting together first question or really information on a default block. So welcome to the IP&T survey, response is confidential. All right, so we're going to add another question. So maybe the first question would be, let's see, what do we want to know about you guys? So most of your this is your graduate school. Most of you, I'm assuming, would be, you've already got your bachelor's degree, right? So I'm going to just ask something like this. How satisfied I can't read my numbers here because the light's not very. How satisfied were you with your bachelor's degree? Okay, got a good one? Will probably be helpful. Okay, so now what's going to happen if I click this on? What's Qualtrics going to do? Grab it. It's automatically going to do what? It's going to recognize that satisfaction question, and it just automatically populates that. Now, if you don't want that, you can go in here and create individual shifts on what that is. But you can also come over here and change, change to 7 point or go back to the 5. There's just a lot of automatic features that they've built throughout the years. So when Ryan Smith and his dad was created Qualtrics several years ago, I don't know, 20 years ago over in the business school. They gave me, when I was there, they gave me this like version that I could use. It's so far advanced compared to what it used to be. And so now, of course, they made billions of dollars in the sell about 2-3 years ago on what had happened. So you and I, we missed out on the opportunity to make a little money. If we
By the Utah Jazz.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so, that's a quick question. Let's add another question here. We're going to add a simple question. Let me see if I can find a really good one. Let's put in a multiple choice question, but we're going to add it. We're going to add this based on put in a graphic. So a lot of times, some people want to show a picture and with their question. Okay, so today we're going to show a picture. So I'm going to go up here. I'm going to put in a picture. I just happened to go out and scrape the internet and found this one here. And
That's my official BYU. I'm just glad you don't have one of the embarrassing. Costume.
so my question is going to be, do you know this man? Do you know? All right, so see what happens in this response here. All right, so it's going to put that in, and I'm going to say yes, no, or not. Oh, yeah. So sometimes what happens is it'll catch you. So this time we're going to say no, and I'm going to say I prefer not to say. Not say. Yeah. All right. So so that question then again, you can. It's just there's a lot of things you can bring the text down. I could just write, put an enter in and bring it down here. What do you want to do? There's a lot of nice features here. With Qualtrics, the nice thing about all of this is that you have this rich context editor up here. You can type in text. You can do a lot of different things. To provide kind of the format. So
That's piped in text.
So, okay, great question. So, you have a file, what we would call a metadata file. So there's several different ways in which you can bring information from a data spreadsheet into these actual questions. Okay, so that's what we call piped in text. Okay, in a minute, I'll give an example of how we want to create that. All right.
So we had, sorry.
Pause. Yes, Dr. Davies, it wants to advertise a course that's coming up. If you are planning to use a survey in our research, we offer a survey research course, 692R once a year. We cover the use of Qualtrics, lots of theory, practical issues. So I'm assuming Dr. Davies teaches that.
I took it in the spring.
And you took it this
I took
spring?
it in the spring.
Highly
It was
recommend
good.
it.
Yeah, it was good. It was very hands-on. We had projects that we worked on and created surveys for. 692, it's one of the 692R classes, like. That they get to. Survey research. Survey research, yeah.
Okay, let's put in another question here. I think would be interesting to do, and that is, how long has it been since you had your bachelor's degree? So I'm going to put that right after this. Okay, what do we say? 1 year. Not. Is right in the way. Let's see. 2 to 5 years. And we'll just say 5 plus. 6, 5 plus, yeah. All right. So we do have to have a follow-up on this question. Let's see. If yes, and we'll link that in a minute. If yes, have you had a class from him? Question mark. Let's see if it says. I didn't put that in. Okay, and then let's say, see, what grade do you expect from him? Question mark. A. And should we just make that the only choice? B.
Another advertisement.
Dr. Davies, oh my goodness, also a shameless advertisement for the open educational resource textbook available to you at edtechbooks.org. All of you, the price is right.
Okay, so now we have some skip logic or some display logic kinds of things. So from this question that we created here, okay, we got yes. We've got to make sure that only those that have said yes get this display logic, right? Okay, so we're going to highlight this question here. We're going to come over here and look for our display. Actually, it's on this right side. So we're going to come up here. We're going to say, okay, where is it at now? Like that question. This display. Okay, all of a sudden, I've lost my. Okay, so we're going to have display logic, and we're going to say, let's see, what question was that for? You know this man, right? And then it's going to say, hey, yes. So I'm going to make sure that I hit that, and we're going to save that. So now this question is only going to be displayed for those that said yes. Don't worry about the other ones. If they say no, it's just going to pass. Okay, now on this one, it's going to be a little bit more complicated because we want to say if you had a class with them, you got to display yes, definitely yes. Might or might not. I guess we could throw those in there. So we come back here, we got our display logic here. And we're going to run this and say, okay, have you had the class from him? And we say might. We're gonna add. And we gotta say or here, right? Otherwise, it's gonna create some problems. So anybody that has said that, and now we got yes. Then same thing, or, and double yes. Does that sound right? Like you're following our logic here? All right, so that's a good questionnaire. So sometimes as I'm going along, I like to try to make sure I just publish this so that all my everything is saved. And of course, it's an excellent survey. It's all right, thank you for that feedback.
Richard, skip logic, when do you use the skip logic?
Well,
The display logic, then it says skip logic.
so skip logic is like if you suppose you didn't, if they really didn't care about any further questions on these people. So what I can do is I can say skip logic. And if anybody says no here, I'll just say skip them to the end of the survey or skip them to another survey or another question in the survey just to or move a full block if you're creating a block. So you just decide how you want to do it from there. Yeah, thank you. Okay. All right, so now I can go in here and preview this. Kind of hit that preview button and it's going to kind of give me what it looks like when somebody actually takes the survey. Now, one of the things that I didn't do is, it's all on one page. Sometimes you may not want that to happen, right? You may want to split it up and break it up. But in this case, I've got it on one page. And a lot of times I get to this point when I'm creating a survey and I say, wait a minute, I forgot to split this out. I don't want everything in all within one page. That's a long survey to try to scroll through if it's all on one page. So first of all, I want to make sure I'm breaking this here between all the little intro. Okay, so I'm just looking through this. It looks fine. Okay, questions, all the questions look good. Okay, so I'm going to go back. Okay, how do I get back to my survey? In Zoom, so is this on this one? There it is, okay. All right, so I'm going to come up here and I'm going to go in and it says add page break. So I want to add a page break there. Next question, okay, leave it all on one page, but these are two kind of important questions. I'll put them together and then I'll put a page break at the end of this one. So we separate everything else. Now, a lot of times when you have a display logic question that follows another one, you want to put in a page break. Typically, it'll automatically do that, but it allows you to answer the question and then it goes to the next page in case you have a display logic issue. So you don't want the display logic question put right there with the same question. Okay, so we're going to put those two to there. And we're going to have a page break here. All right, now let's go look at it again. Hit the preview. With that, okay, good. Perfect here. It's kind of a nice intro. Hey, it's going to be confidential. Hit that button. Okay, now you can see two questions I put together, two satisfied questions. Now, I noticed that I don't have a back button here. For me, that's an important thing for a survey. I want people to be able to say, now some people don't want it. Somebody want to push it through and not give them the chance to rethink something later, later on. So I can see I'm going to go change that. Okay. So I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to look at it. So there's little tricks here. And one of those is the survey options. Let's see if I can remember where the back button is. Survey. Right, no.
It's in responses.
There it is, yeah. Okay, so back button is off. It comes in, yeah. So it can hit that back button. Gives me an option to, everyone to do that. There's so many different other things in here. These options and the response options, you can decide when do you want to record this. You want to delete it at a certain point after a week, whenever the surveys come in. Survey start times, last time they edit the response. So there's a lot of different little features in here. we could maybe talk about if we have time later. Okay, so heading back to my survey. Okay, so this time I should have that back button. The first one, you don't need it because there's nothing, that's your first one. So you can start it out, you got it. Here's the back button now. You go through it, yeah, it looks good. You've noticed that I have not set anything as far as forcing anybody to answer the questions. I'm just plowing through it. Now I said yes here, so it's displaying now this question here. If I went back and said no, I'm assuming that'll be the end of the survey. See what happens. There it is. Okay. All right. So I'm going to set up this survey. I'm going to send it to you. That's another feature I think are very important to understand a little bit. That's really special about this. Earlier on, before I came here, I went in and set up a list serve that Scott sent me. So I got my survey library, I've got a messages library. Let's see. I don't think I think about it.
We asked for all of their email addresses, right?
Yes. So, all right. And survey. Directories. Okay, and set up a contact directory. We create a contact list. Call it IP&T. Go into just any folder here. Ask me where to go grab that. Let me take a step back for a minute. No, I'm not going to worry about that. Okay, so my vacation rental stuff here, you can see it. Investment properties. Let's see. Let's get up to the right spot. All right. We'll come in here and we're going to grab looking for Scott. See if I can see it. Well, that's it right there, right? All right, we're going to add contacts. Now down here, it gives you a little bit of a quick view. Okay, so add those. It's like we got all of the things in here. What I did is I set up an ID number, created a first name, email, last name, a degree, and a group I just created. Okay. Now I'm going to add that contact list. And by the way, I'll delete this so you guys don't. So that has been created. Okay. So now I've got that in my contact list. Now, what I originally had gone in to do was set up this survey. So I got in and set up names with these across the top. Now, Qualtrics always has to have, they can't have breaks in a name. It's got to be this. Now, Qualtrics specifically likes when you say first name, it's got to be capital F and capital N. The first name, same with the last name. Everything else can be whatever you want. Okay. So we've gone ahead and loaded that up. Now we're going to go back to our Qualtrics. And how do I get back there? I'm always having a hard time with Zoom. Try this, let's see if it's there. Down, down. Okay, so we're going to go back to our survey. And okay, we're going to distribute the survey. Come over here, distribute. So here's the tab that talks about how you build the survey out. Here you're going to distribute it. Okay. Now, a lot of times people, they may not have a list and an email of a person. They'll just do an anonymous link and people can just send it in anonymously. Okay. In this case, we have information and we're going to create an individual link for each of you. Okay. So we come in here, we got the email list. We're going to compose an email. Okay. So first thing we're going to do is come in and create a message. Say, hi, please take my survey. Receive many blessings. Okay. All right, so you can put whatever information in here, this survey link. Now, somebody had asked a question about piping. Okay. Now, if you just send it like this, it's going to be generic to everybody. That's exactly what we're going to see. Okay. So in this case, I want to pipe in the first name. I'm going to come up here to this little insert pipe text. Okay. And you can pipe anything, any answers people want. I mean, there's just so many different things. But what we have, we're going to go down to the contact field and we're going to pipe in the first name right there. And immediately it's going to bring up when you create that list.
You look at the other options. What are some of those other options?
Yeah, so you got
Typing, like, why would you pipe in like a survey question? Like one of the questions from the survey?
or from another survey you have.
So like if they answered one survey a certain way.
All right, yeah. The flexibility is phenomenal about how they do it. But it's not just that. This list shows things. So you can actually pipe answer to one question and pipe it. You can create that piping into a question later on in the survey. So the first question you have, they could answer it. And then you could go create another question later on and pipe it in similar to this, pipe in that answer.
Like you answered such and such. Can you describe why this was
Exactly, yeah.
you
I mean,
or something?
Well, there's an easier way to do that, but again, the piping can allow you to do all sorts of things like that.
And it just remind them of how they answered a previous question and then.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, you can do that too. So there's another feature when you're setting up a survey that you're thinking about where you ask, they answer certain ways on one question. You can bring any of those questions that they answered over into the next question and only those. So if you had a list of 50 things and they checked off 7 of them, then the follow-up question, you can bring those 7 only over. So a lot of times we ask questions like, which states have you visited in the last year? So they check them all off, right? And then it shoves them back into the next question. And then you can say, which of these states that you chose are your favorite? Which one is your favorite? And then, right? So then you can really narrow it down like that. That doesn't have anything to do with piping, but it's similar in some ways.
Describe what you did in those states or something.
That's right.
Add a qualitative question.
Yeah.
How do you do that then without the piping? What's the way to do that?
I don't know if we'll have time, but I can show you afterwards. Okay, so anyway, we're just gonna say hi, that's it, thanks again. Okay, up here, we got a subject line, IP&T survey. You can save this message if you want, so you can use it later. Send it now. This comes from me. Okay, now, we can go out here and we can look in my library that I created. Let's see, what did I call it? IP&T? There it is. Okay, so it has a list of everybody that we developed, we created, and I say, I want everybody in that survey. It's going to bring them up, and there you go. Okay. And now all I got to do is hit send. I'm not going to do that because I think some people aren't here today and they're going to say, what is the?
You know this name.
If we'd had like 2 hours, then we could do that and then do damage later, but anyway, so they're like, okay, this is definitely rogue. Somebody is messing with my program. All right, so we can send that information out. Okay, great. It sends it out and it'll start basically, once that happens, then the survey is going to start to populate. People are going to start answering questions. And once that happens, then you can go to data analysis and kind of see who's coming in, what the questions are, right? So here was my answer on the preview, one that I answered earlier, right? And now there's a lot of features here under this data table. I can come over here and I can put any of the questions that I've got in the survey. I can put them out here and look at them. Just look at the database itself, look through it, and all the answers as they're coming in. So this particular thing is very valuable in the sense that it allows me to go in and just kind of see how things are going. Now, column chooser allows me to go and put like select any of the questions. If we had like 20 questions here and I only had 2 of them selected, all I'm going to see on this display are those 2, but I could go in, if we had 20, I could go in and click 4 or 5 more so that when I brought this display up, I could see all of them, all of those columns, and I could kind of see how people are answering as we go. Okay. So that's really important here. It can help me contact field. I can go in and look at the first name. So watch this. I didn't have a first name on that, so that doesn't work. All right. So lots of interesting features. There are a couple of other things that I want to talk about. The time I've got left. Back in the survey. One of the things that that's really an important thing or valuable is loading up metadata that you loaded up in your file. So remember all of those 6 or 7 fields that I put in? Your first name, ID number, last name, the group, your degree. Okay. The easiest way to carry that data into your answers or into your output is to come over here to what we call a survey flow. And in your survey flow, you just simply add the names of all of those fields you want, make sure that they come through the survey into your output. Now, why do you want to have a group or metadata later on in your data set? Now, you could always bring it later by matching it with an ID on an Excel sheet, but in this case, you can just do it automatically. Why would you want that? Why would you want to have somebody's degree?
To embed in your answer data for analysis.
Yes, later on, right? You want to be able to look at and say, okay, I want to split up all the different degrees and see if there's any differences in those groups, right? Et cetera, right? So the bottom line is that you can do that in Qualtrics up front. Okay, so I can put first name, I can put group. Now you got to make sure they're spelled exactly as you put them in the spreadsheet. As you uploaded them in the spreadsheet, otherwise it won't recognize it. So group, okay, so I got group, I'm gonna put in last name, you remember? Last name's gotta be capital L, capital N. That way it's gonna match. If it's different than that, it's not gonna work. Okay, so I could put all of those things in there. I haven't worried about it. Now, if I put it at the end, you're not gonna be able to use some of that information if you want to use it during the survey. So I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna move this up on top of this block. Now, why do I want to do that again?
So you're sorting all the groups before you start the questions.
Yes, so before they start the survey, this data is available in case you want to use this data to pipe it into a question that you're asking during the survey. Okay, if I put it at the end of it, it won't be available for, it preloads this information before they take the survey. Move this down here, it's just going to come out at the end of the survey and it's not going to be allowed to do that. Okay.
So for example, at a certain point in this, you could say, when you're writing this, everyone in group
Yes.
master,
Yes.
these set of questions now, and everyone that is in group PhD will now get these set of questions.
Yes, that's exciting, isn't it? I mean, there's just a lot of. Are you guys old enough? Maybe you aren't, I don't know, but are you old enough to remember the rich duck guy? What was his Uncle Duck?
Uncle Duck.
Oh, I guess it's Scrooge.
Scrooge McDuck, yeah.
But I remember as a kid seeing him and they would have pictures where he'd be in his vault and he had this pile of coins, right? And he would just like glorifying him. He was like, I'm so rich, right? That's the way I feel with data. If I'm in front of data or if I'm in front of Qualtrics, right? It's like, okay, I want to just sit here and I'm like, yes. You know, I see this feature and I'm going, oh my goodness, this is so good. All right, anyway.
I love your dissertation data, the way that Richard. You have a good dissertation.
Okay, one other feature I want to talk about, and I'm going to have to go out to another survey. And that is this little thing called report. Let me just at least show it to you for a minute. I'm going to leave, yeah. Leave this. Now, this is one of the most powerful things I really like about Qualtrics is just creating a report. And this report becomes live. Okay, so as people are getting these surveys and running them and answering questions, this report you create, you can go and get the output immediately and it'll just be ongoing. And then you can share that with anybody you want. So I'm just going to call this report one, create it. All right, so we only have 2 survey questions, right? So we got a few more. I'm going to hit this. And it's going to immediately say no data is found. Let's see, because I didn't answer the question originally, right? And we don't have anybody answering it. So what did I answer? I answered the no question on this man here. So looks like I'm going to have one no, 100% response. So this report setup is as you go, you'll be able to find a way then to be able to immediately customize a report that you want somebody to see, and they can all go there. So now if you want to share this report, you can come up here and you can say share. I want to, okay, I'm in the wrong. Get it right? There we go. So you can hit manage report. You can say, hey, I want to send a report to everybody in my office and link to this report. So I can hit that. I can say copy, save first, and see copy. And now I'm going to copy that. I'm going to email it to everybody and that they can immediately hit that link and follow it every day and see what the numbers do and how they change based on how the report that you created. Does that make sense? That's a really powerful feature, especially when you're working with people in offices or departments, right? Okay, so let me just give you an example of some of the reports that we did, and then we'll, if you have any questions, I can answer some. But go out to a different survey here. I have no idea whether this data is, should be seeing this data or not.
Yeah.
Yes.
Project. Our office, we're the ones that send surveys out to everybody across campus. We're the ones that annoy you all the time. Let's see, what report do I have here that I can? Report, how about this one? This is administrative solutions, so I'm sure they'll be happy to. Okay, let's see what we got. So we created a report here. Have you worked with any of these people, right? So this is a similar report. 83% said yes. Okay. How often have you contract ASG in the last 12 months, daily, weekly? So you can see these are basic reports. You can get information, you get scores, mean scores. They got a promoter, an NPS promoter score here that they can look at that we created. Got all sorts of they had a question, you know, what can we do to help improve this? You got open-ended feedback, those kinds of things. So lots of unique information that you can see that I think is just really valuable. There's other things you can trigger. You can create email triggers. So if somebody is, I don't know how much time. Close. Okay. I'll just show you a quick little thing here. Back on our surveys. Under tools. Let's see, wait a minute. Maybe I can't remember. Okay, let me tell you about it. So if you wanted to, if you had created a form and you wanted to send that form to a secretary or an office assistant, you can set it up so that it goes to email. So when a person's done with that form, it will automatically email to that assistant that they can put that information in. What we call a trigger, an email trigger, so that as soon as the survey is done, it triggers it to say, go to this person, and it goes there. And you can fill it out. The other thing that I really like about Quadchex is what we call scoring. You can go in, and if you got a multi-response question, you can go in there and actually set up scores for each of the answers. And then that will come out into a score. And so that's a very nice, powerful feature to it. So anyway, good stuff.
Well, he's just touched the tip of the iceberg. And unfortunately, Dr. McClendon is going to be retiring, or fortunately, I guess, for him,
Fortunate.
an early retirement to do some other pursuits. So he'll only be with us for a month. So the question you all have is, okay, wow, this is big, this is deep, this is broad, this is overwhelming. Where can I get some help when I really need it just in time? Now, Qualtrics provides some really helpful information on their base camp.
Yeah.
And some good tutorials online. But we also want you to know that there is another kind, helpful, not as entertaining soul, but a very kind and helpful expert that is in this Kimball Tower right next door to us on the second floor. Can I have you bring up, well, who has control? Hey, Bruce Bergen. He is the go-to person if you need some help on any of your Qualtrics surveys. He's been around almost as long as you and knows almost as much as you, right?
Much more.
So I've been to Bruce's office. He helped me already. Here he is, database manager. And Echo's going to share this with everybody. We thank you, Echo. You're amazing. So Bruce Bergen, and he's your go-to person. Those of you that are moderating today, make sure we have his contact information. and he'll be of tremendous help to you going forward. Okay? Thank you. And then we'll have a blessing on the food and on the rest of our day by Dr. Yan Sharp.